Have you ever really thought about how many stars there are out there?
It's pretty mind-blowing when you really try to wrap your head around it, right?
It's just hundreds of billions of galaxies.
Yeah.
And then each of those with hundreds of billions of stars.
Yeah, and you start thinking, if even a tiny fraction of those stars have planets,
Right.
and then a tiny fraction of those planets have life,
Whoa. The universe should be like a giant block party.
yeah, it really should be teeming with alien civilizations.
Exactly. But here's the thing. We haven't heard a single peep
Nope.
from anyone out there. And this eerie silence, this has been bugging scientists and philosophers for I don't know how long.
Yeah, for decades at least.
It's called the Fermi paradox.
Right, the Fermi paradox. And the paradox is that contradiction between the high probability that there should be life out there and the lack of evidence for it.
So then that leads us to the Great Filter.
The Great Filter, yeah. It's a fascinating idea, but maybe a little unsettling too.
Okay, so for those who don't know, can you break down this whole Great Filter idea?
Sure. So it suggests that on the evolutionary path from simple life to advanced spacefaring civilizations, there's some sort of barrier, a massive barrier that prevents most life from reaching those advanced stages.
So almost like a cosmic obstacle course.
Exactly. So think of all these civilizations starting this race, but very few actually make it to the finish line.
And that finish line being, interstellar travel and all that.
Right. Becoming a technologically advanced civilization capable of interstellar travel.
So where do we fit in on this obstacle course?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah. Did we already clear the filter, or is it still ahead of us waiting to trip us up?
Both possibilities are pretty profound when you think about it.
Okay. So let's say we're the lucky ones.
Yeah.
We already jumped over that hurdle.
Right.
What would that mean about life like ours, life that becomes intelligent?
Well, it would mean that the journey from those first single-celled organisms to beings like us wasn't just long. It was a series of extremely unlikely events.
So basically, we're like a cosmic fluke.
Yeah, it would suggest that the development of complex life and then intelligence and then a technological civilization,
Right.
that whole thing is incredibly rare.
Like winning the lottery a million times in a row.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
And it really makes you think about that time scale of life on Earth.
Yeah, 4 billion years.
Almost 4 billion years to get from those simple bacteria to us.
Wow.
That's a testament to how many things had to go right.
Yeah.
How many hurdles life had to overcome.
It's pretty humbling.
Yeah, it is.
But what if the filter is not behind us? What if it's ahead of us?
Well,
What kind of threats are out there waiting to wipe us out?
that's where things get a little more serious.
Yeah.
There are a number of potential filters out there that could spell disaster for us.
Like what?
Well, first up, there's the threat of self-destruction.
I mean, that's always a classic, isn't it?
Right, humans and our tendency to create weapons that could wipe us out.
Yeah, like nukes.
Nuclear weapons are a prime example. Yeah. I mean, think about how close we came during the Cold War to just total annihilation.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that there's still thousands of nuclear warheads out there.
Over 12,500 to be more precise.
All it would take is one to set off this chain reaction.
Exactly. And, as technology keeps advancing, the potential for self-destruction just increases. We have to think about AI.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, biotechnology, even nanotechnology. All of these emerging technologies could pose serious risks.
So it's not just about bombs anymore.
No.
We're talking about creating things that could, spiral out of control.
Precisely. And sometimes maybe without us even realizing it until it's too late.
That's a little scary.
Yeah, I mean, take AI, for example.
Okay.
There's a concern that we could create a system that's smarter than us. And that could start making decisions that are not in our best interest.
It's like that classic sci-fi trope where the robots take over.
Right, except instead of metal skeletons, we're talking about algorithms.
Yeah.
Making decisions that we can't even understand.
So how do we prevent that? I mean, how do we make sure that the AI we create is, on our side?
Well, the key is to ensure that it's aligned with human values.
Okay.
It's a huge challenge, both ethically and technically, but it's one that we absolutely have to address.
Okay, so I've got nukes and rogue AI.
Right.
Anything else we should be worried about?
Well, there's also biotechnology.
Okay.
As we learn more about genetics and biology, we're getting better at manipulating life. But that power comes with the risk of creating something incredibly destructive.
Like a superbug that wipes out half the planet.
That's one possibility. Even without any malicious intent, you could have a lab accident with a highly contagious engineered virus, and the consequences could be devastating.
It's like every time we make some big advancement, we have to stop and think about what could go wrong.
Absolutely. We tend to focus on the potential benefits of new technologies. Yeah. But it's just as important to understand the risks.
Okay, so we've got self-destruction through weapons, rogue, AI, bioengineered pandemics.
Yeah.
What else am I going to have nightmares about?
Well, we also have to consider the possibility that we just run out of resources.
Okay.
Climate change, resource depletion, environmental degradation. These are all connected challenges, and they could lead to societal collapse.
So it's not just about one big catastrophic event.
No.
It's about this slow decline that leaves us vulnerable to other threats.
Exactly. It's like a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
We weaken ourselves and then something else comes along to finish the job.
And on that cheerful note, I do want to bring up the cosmic threats that we really can't control.
Right.
I mean, we're not immune to, a giant asteroid slamming into Earth.
Absolutely. Asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, gamma ray bursts.
Like the dinosaurs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are all extinction-level events that could wipe us out in an instant.
We are a pretty fragile species on a fragile planet.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of space exploration and planetary defense.
Yeah.
The more we understand about the universe, the better prepared we'll be to deal with those threats.
So it's not just about escaping Earth.
Right.
It's about protecting ourselves.
It's about understanding and protecting our place in the cosmos.
But this brings us back to the Great Filter.
Yeah.
With all of these threats out there, how does anything survive long enough to, reach the stars?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And the answer might lie in understanding what makes a civilization truly resilient.
So let's dig into that a bit.
Okay.
What are the characteristics of a civilization that would be capable of, getting past these existential threats and eventually reaching the stars?
That's a question that people have been pondering for centuries.
Yeah.
But if we look at the potential filters, we can start to see some common threads. Well, one really important trait would have to be wisdom.
Okay.
And I don't just mean technological advancement,
Right.
but like a deep understanding of how everything is connected.
Yeah, Beth.
A civilization that was going to survive wouldn't just invent stuff.
Yeah.
They would invent responsibly, always thinking about the long-term consequences.
So it's not just about being smart, it's about being wise.
Exactly. It's like the difference between knowing how to build a nuclear reactor
Right.
and understanding the full impact of actually using nuclear power.
So you need to be thinking on a much longer time scale.
Yeah, definitely. Instead of just constantly pushing for more, faster, bigger,
Right. Yeah.
they'd be focused on sustainability, balance, harmony with their environment.
Because if you're constantly just using up your resources or messing up your planet, that's not a good long-term plan.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And it's certainly not going to help you get to the stars.
Okay, so wisdom is key. What else?
Adaptability would be huge.
Okay.
The universe throws curveballs.
Right.
A future-proof civilization would have to be flexible, able to learn from mistakes,
Yeah.
adjust course when they need to.
So being okay with change,
Yeah.
embracing new information, challenging their own assumptions.
It's like having a growth mindset, but on a societal scale.
I like that.
They would need to have this culture of continuous learning, innovation, critical thinking.
And being able to come together when things get rough.
Yeah, putting aside their differences and working together for the common good.
Because when you're facing an existential threat, arguing over, petty stuff seems kind of pointless.
It really does.
Yeah.
A future-proof civilization would understand that unity is strength.
Yeah.
They would value diversity of thought because that leads to better solutions.
Right.
And they would know that cooperation is essential for overcoming challenges that affect everyone.
It's like they'd have to move past all the stuff that divides us here on Earth.
Yeah.
Like nationalism, religious extremism, political ideologies.
It's a profound thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it raises an interesting question. If humanity is truly unique,
Okay.
if we've already passed the great filter,
Uh-huh.
does that mean we have a special responsibility?
Whoa, hold on. Are we saying that if we're the only intelligent life out there, we're somehow obligated to, keep consciousness going?
It's a big question.
Yeah, and spread it throughout the universe.
It really is a fascinating philosophical question.
Yeah.
If we are alone, we become the caretakers of knowledge, the stewards of consciousness.
That's a lot of pressure.
It is, but it changes how we think about space exploration.
Yeah.
It's not just about conquering new frontiers anymore.
Right.
It's about safeguarding the future of intelligence itself.
So we're carrying the torch for all of intelligent life, even the life that might not exist yet.
It's a powerful thought.
Okay, but let's flip back to that other scenario for a second.
Hey.
What if the filter is still ahead of us? Does that mean we're doomed no matter what?
Not necessarily. Remember, the Great Filter is a theory.
Okay.
It's a way of understanding the universe and our place in it.
Right.
It doesn't determine our fate. It just highlights the challenges we face.
So it's more like a warning sign.
Yeah, a cosmic wake-up call.
Okay, so even if there is a great filter out there, we might still be able to get through it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're a remarkably resilient species. We've faced some incredible challenges throughout our history, and we've found ways to overcome them.
Okay, so what's the key?
I think the key is to learn from our past, anticipate future challenges, and work together to create a more sustainable and resilient future.
It's almost like the great filter, if it's real, could be this like cosmic test.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Forcing us to face our weaknesses and become a stronger, wiser species.
It could be transformative.
Okay, so how do we actually navigate this cosmic obstacle course?
Yeah.
What are the things we can do to increase our chances of survival?
Right.
And maybe even thrive as a species?
Well, it's a huge challenge, so there's no easy answer.
Sure.
But if we look at the patterns, we could see some key areas to focus on.
Okay, so give us the roadmap. What do we actually do?
Well, one of the most important things is recognizing that these aren't just problems for, one country or one group of people.
Right.
Climate change, AI, risk resource depletion.
It affects all of us.
These are global issues. We need to move beyond national self-interest and start acting like a unified species.
Okay, so more collaboration, less competition.
Exactly.
But that's easier said than done, right?
Oh, it definitely is. But it's essential. We need to strengthen international organizations, foster global dialogue, and find ways to work together. Because when you're talking about a potential great filter event, it's like we either sink or swim together.
Makes sense. What else can we do?
We need to keep investing in science and technology.
Okay.
But not blindly. We have to be mindful of the potential downsides.
Okay.
Consider the ethical implications, and make sure that our advancements are being used to benefit humanity and our planet.
So progress, but with caution.
Exactly, like developing AI, but ensuring it's aligned with our values, or exploring biotechnology, but with strong safety protocols.
Right, so it's about finding that balance between pushing the boundaries and being responsible.
Exactly. We can't let fear hold us back, but we also can't afford to be reckless.
Okay, so global cooperation, responsible innovation. Those are big ones. What else?
We need to rethink our priorities as a species.
Okay.
Right now, we're spending so much on things like the military and consumerism, and neglecting things like education, sustainable development, scientific research.
It's like we're so focused on the short term that we're forgetting about the long-term health of our civilization.
That's a big part of it. We need to shift our focus from material possessions to knowledge, wisdom, long-term solutions.
It's a pretty big shift.
It is.
So how do we actually get people to think that way,
Well, that's where things get really interesting, because it's not just about policies and technology.
Right.
It's about changing our mindset as a species.
Okay.
We need to cultivate this sense of cosmic perspective. Recognize that we're not just individuals on some random planet, but part of something much bigger, something interconnected.
So we need to see ourselves as part of this larger web of life.
Exactly, and understand that our actions have consequences that reach far beyond ourselves.
Okay.
We need to foster a sense of wonder, curiosity, responsibility, rekindle that spirit of exploration.
Yeah.
Not just of space, but of ourselves and our place in the universe.
So the great filter, it's not just a threat, it's an opportunity.
Yeah, a chance for us to evolve, to grow, to become something truly remarkable.
I love that. So to wrap things up, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
I think the great filter forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths about our place in the universe. But it also reminds us of our incredible potential.
Yeah.
We have the capacity to overcome these challenges to become a truly cosmic species.
But only if.
But only if we choose to act, to collaborate, to innovate, and to dream big.
So it's not about giving in to fear or despair. It's about using this knowledge as fuel to push us toward a better future.
Exactly. The great filter reminds us that our choices matter more than ever.
Yeah.
We have the power to shape our own destiny, to determine whether we become just another silent echo in the cosmos or a beacon of consciousness shining bright among the stars.
That's a beautiful thought.
Thank you.
And a perfect way to end our deep dive into the Great Filter. Thanks for joining us.
It was my pleasure.
And for our listeners out there,
yes,
the conversation doesn't have to end here. Keep exploring this topic. Think about it. Share your own ideas.
What are your hopes and fears about the future?
Yeah.
What can you do, even small things, to contribute to a more sustainable, resilient, and spacefaring civilization?
Remember, even small actions can make a difference.
They really can. So stay curious, stay engaged, and never stop looking up at the stars.
Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep exploring.